Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Dugout Football Channel. It is the match preview of Bournemouth against Liverpool on Saturday, and also it is the last game for Liverpool in the Premier League until the 1st of April. So, big incentive to potentially go forth for the time being, obviously, with a win, of course. But we shall see what happens. I'm delighted to say that I've been joined once again by Mr. Craig Beazley from Up the Cherries in all departments. How are you, mate?
Yeah, all good. Thanks, Doug, and thank you for having me back on again, mate.
Absolute pleasure. And as we said, up the cherries in all departments is blown away, isn't it?
Yes, it's grown quite considerably over the past couple of months. Yeah, lot more features coming on board. We're doing our cherry picking podcast again, so that's recently restarted. We're looking at the bottom nine teams in the Premier League and the run-ins as well. So that's quite interesting. And we should have some special guests coming up as well. Fingers crossed, it's nothing is confirmed at the moment, but should have a very special guest ahead of Aston Villa and a celebrity, if he does come on, who you might never associate with Aston Villa.
Yes. I won't go too much into
Yeah,
any
I've
detail,
sworn you
but
secrecy for that, haven't I? But yeah, I can
absolutely.
imagine people were just scrolling through and going, "Who the hell is this?" So
Yeah, yeah. If you get, then obviously bonus points to you, but we shall see. Anyway, Ensman
yeah,
was in earlier in the building. Hello, mate. I hope you're well. Bailey Francis, good to see you, mate. Hope you're good, mate. Just Hannah is in. Good evening, chat. Good evening. John is in as well. Big up. Indian Scouts is also in. John is in. Hello, hope you're good, mate. And Indian Scouts, yes, everyone is well. Remember to hit the like button. Remember to hit the subscribe button, and also do check out up the cherries in all departments as well. I almost got that wrong there. I was just
yeah,
thinking, oh no,
it's a
no, no, no.
mouthful, isn't it?
It is. It is.
I won't repeat what what the Leeds fans, the square ball, said about what it sounds like, but yeah, it's yes, they compared it
Yeah,
to some sort of infection.
yeah. John says, "Bug up, Craig. Hope you're good." And hello, Brian, as well. Hope you're well, mate. I hope you're good as well. And everyone is saying hello to everybody in the chat. So, when we last spoke, it was safe to say that I don't think you would have expected to sort of be bottom of the league right now, would you?
um, y- well, no, I think just thinking back to the last time we spoke, I think it was just before the World Cup, wasn't it, as well?
It
We
was,
did
yeah.
speak, yeah. And to be fair, we was playing fairly well. We were 2-0 up against Spurs, lost 3-2. We was 3-1 up against Leeds, lost 4-3. And then we had two really good results against the lot across the park. Shall we call them that, Doug? Would you rather
Yes,
call them
absolutely.
that rather than, by their official title? But yeah, it was looking promising. However, after the World Cup, it's been a little bit slow to get going. But last weekend, of course, we went to Arsenal, expected nothing, had two
Yeah.
players fall ill, two really important players, Jefferson Lerma and Hamid Traore, who Hamid Traore is an absolutely outstanding talent from Sassuolo. We have got the option to buy him, and to be honest, I would do it now, to be fair,
Hmm.
because I just think he's that good. And we were 2-0 up, and then,
Hmm.
of course, lost 3-2. I think that was more fatigue than what happened earlier on in the season. When we reflect back to what happened earlier on, we went back too defensive. And of course, if we go back further than that, of course, the game at Anfield. I might as well
Yeah.
get stuck into it, yes. Um,
Yeah.
it was a very difficult day. I actually went up with a Liverpool fan to Anfield to watch the
Hmm.
game. And yes, we were nicely put destroyed. However, it was Scott Parker's last game. I think some of the things have continued into Gary O'Neill's reign, but in a smaller way. I think that day,
Hmm.
what we did was we just sat too far back and allowed Liverpool to just play in front of us, and you were just picking us off with ease. There was, okay, stand a yard off the man, but not 5 yards, because it was so
Mm.
easy. Bobby Firmino was just passing the ball about. He had an exceptional game, but to be fair, we made it easy for him.
Yeah.
There was just too much respect, and of course, what Scott Parker said afterwards, I think he deserved to be sacked. Of course, I was on Radio 606 with Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton about that,
Yeah.
and there was no doubt he deserved to be sacked. Off the basis of his comments, the performance wasn't good though from us, and that's what I would say is, when we go for games like we did against Newcastle, we can be really good. Against Arsenal, again, really good. Against Wolves, I
Yeah.
thought we was good. We did hang on a little bit for that game, but we got the win. Um, Against Forest and against Brighton were the big ones. So Forest, we was 1-0 up at home, and Gary O'Neill, for I don't have a clue what he was doing here. Just went too defensive. Everybody back, ended up conceding a point. Against Brighton, it was even worse. We were actually on top of Brighton,
Hmm.
and Brighton, decent side, but we were on top of them. And instead of carrying on going for the win, if we had carried on, tried to get the win and conceded that way, fair enough. But
Yeah.
instead, he just went all defensive, allowed Brighton to pile on to us, very much like Scott Parker did against Liverpool, conceded. And
Hmm.
that is the big concern for me about Gary O'Neill. I think he's bought himself time after the recent results. Things have picked up a little, but my suggestion to him is go for these teams. After Liverpool, we've got a good run of games. We've got Aston Villa, winnable game. Fulham, winnable game. He needs to get it right in early April as well, because we've got West Ham, Southampton, and Leeds all in a row.
Oh,
Now, that will define our season.
definitely.
That run will define our season, but I would like to be in a position going into that run outside of the relegation zone where we can make some headway between us and the bottom three, and therefore we want it sewn up. We had the show yesterday about looking at the bottom nine teams. We want it sewn up by the 13th of May against Crystal Palace away, um, because we don't want to be going into that last game of the season against that team across the park from you,
Hmm.
and fighting for a result. If anything,
Yeah.
what we want to be doing is going into that game ourselves already safe. Well, don't really care what they're up to, but if they are fighting for their lives, well then so be it. But we don't want to be fighting with them on that last day of the season.
Yeah. No, exactly. I mean, this table's very, very tight. The table is very, very tight, and obviously when I obviously like look at it, it is very, very tight. I mean, when I look at the table right now, I mean, yes, you're Bob, but it's only on sort of goal difference, and obviously so the nine you conceded is obviously played a part in that. But
Yeah,
I'm looking at the table now. You're only a point outside the relegation zone. You're only a point off Leeds as well. West Ham are in there, Leicester City. It's really, really sort of packed. And then obviously you've got Aston Villa like in 11th as well. So it does look like from obviously 12 downwards, it does look
yeah,
like that those teams are definitely going to be the ones that will decide who goes down.
yeah, yeah. It will be. I think we had a look at it last night, and
Yeah.
I think Southampton, to be honest, our running isn't actually the worst. I would actually go as far as saying our running after or Saturday's game is probably one of the better. You know,
Hmm.
Probably the best alongside Wolves. Wolves have got quite
Yeah.
a good running, but they're quite clear. I think Wolves will be safe.
Yeah.
the teams that have got the most horrendous ones, I would say Leeds and Everton.
Hmm.
And I think Southampton will probably do it to themselves. So at this moment, there's not a lot of panic, but we need to start winning games.
Yeah.
And that starts with the game at Villa Park, with the game up at Dean Court against Fulham. And, of course, that cluster of three games, to be honest, we could get results before that against some of the teams. So there's no panic at this moment in time as long as Gary O'Neill gets it right. Play like we did against Arsenal. I think we should be okay.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. We'll go through a few comments because there actually has been a few comments in here. Bailey says Bournemouth will lose their next two in my opinion, then after that they might get wins.
That's
Of
only
course,
because
Bailey being
Bailey's an Aston Villa fan.
Aston Villa support, exactly. John Conway has just subbed to your channel, Craig.
Cheers, John.
Yes, I do have to
Yes,
ask you
yes.
this. Scott Parker, given his marching orders after only 3 months in charge at Club Brugge, were you surprised that he took Club Brugge on?
I was completely shocked that Club Brugge took Scott Parker on, to be honest. To be fair, he's not been particularly successful at the
No,
top level of English football. And
no,
for Fulham, you look at what Mitrovic is doing this season. Scott
yeah,
Parker left Mitrovic out. Um, I think his tactics are very, very negative, very defensive. I'm not sure there's a team that it suits. I can't think of a team that it suits. It's a little bit like it's a bit like Middlesbrough, what they played for
hmm,
some years. Just very, very defensive, very boring. It's not like Burnley, where they're just lobbing, and Burnley and Everton, where they're just lobbing it up the pitch and trying to get somebody on the end of it, long ball.
yeah,
It's just so negative. And the good thing is Gary O'Neill, we come out of our shell a bit with him.
hmm,
Um, okay, yeah, the negativity of defending the last 10 minutes has stayed, but I was shocked. I was shocked, and it was only I think it was last week actually. Of course, he got hammered by Benfica midweek in the
yeah.
Champions League,
5-1? Was it 5-1? I think it was
5-1.
5-1.
Yeah, and I believe it was either last week or the week before. He got beat by a team in the bottom three, and you think your manager of Club Bruges in Belgium, who
Mm,
you know they probably are the equivalent of they're probably the equivalent of Everton, really, in terms of
yeah,
talent. However, you think the teams at the bottom of the league, could be the equivalent of Forest Green Rovers. I don't know. I really don't know. I don't think it's that. I think it's a little bit like the vast difference you do have in Scottish football, where you've got
yeah,
Celtic Rangers and then you have got the teams that are really struggling. There's quite a vast difference, really, isn't there?
yeah. There is. I mean, I've never really rated Parker as a manager.
No.
I've got to be honest, and I think it's going to. I think his time probably at a top club is probably gone. And I can't see anybody. I can't see anybody in the Premier League actually wanting to get Scott Parker, especially
Oh
what
no,
what's happened.
it will be. It'll either be a team in the Championship who are desperate. It will be a building job. He's not going to walk into, say, for example, Southampton go down. Southampton looking for a new manager. He's not going to walk into a club like that,
No,
who
definitely not.
would expect to be fighting to get back into the Premier League. I think that time's been and gone with us. I think it'll be a team, who are going to be at the bottom end of that league, who
Mm,
are a rebuilding job. Um, say for example, um, a Preston maybe, or someone like that.
mhm.
Um, Blackpool. I don't know if they've
Yeah,
got their new manager yet, but
I mean they've got Mick McCarthy, but
oh, of course they have. Yes.
however sort of long that will be. I think he's there until the end of the season anyway. But
Yeah.
yeah, Scott Parker. I don't think he gets a Premier League job. And Hannah's that. Seriously, how the Park end up? I
I
honestly
haven't a
don't know.
clue.
No idea. It was just one that came completely out of the blue. It'd be like if like Steven Gerrard went to PSG. No one would see that coming.
Mm.
Um, it's it's a strange move, and it just didn't work at all. At all. Hello, Ravi. Hope you're good, mate. Hope you're good. Question for both: how did both attacks link up from the midfield? That's a very good
That's a
question.
very good question, and that's changed actually at Bournemouth. So, um, it used to be where it was more of a midfield five, in a lot of games.
Hmm.
That was what Gary O'Neill was doing. Um, I guess you could kind of say it probably still is in the games
Yeah.
against the lower teams. Um, what we do though is Hamid Traore plays just off Dom Solanke, so there's the link. Normally either Lewis Cook, Lerma, Billing, a combination of two of those three, and then
Yeah.
you've got Dongo Atara on the right hand side, and then Jaden Anthony on the left. That seems to work, and I think that's a good solid of good solid midfield there that he's linking up and feeding Dom Solanke. But Dom Solanke will drop back as well. He's a
Hmm.
very talented player, of course, former Liverpool player. He will drop back and collect the ball, go forwards with it, make things happen. He's not greedy either. So yeah, that's really how we link up. It's probable, or it's possible, that Gary O'Neill will go with a back five against Liverpool.
Back five.
Yeah. And this was the formation when I saw it against Arsenal. I thought, oh no, here we go again. We did it against Man City. Here we go again. Too defensive, just allow the top teams to kind of control the game. That didn't happen against Arsenal, which was quite
Mm.
nice. But in that instance, it'll be the back five. You'll have um, Zamora on the left hand side. You'll have Jack Stevens in the centre, Senesi and Metham either side of him. Jack Stevens, because what's good about him is earlier on in the season we were terrible from defending set pieces. Set pieces were our Achilles heel. I believe there was a couple in that 9-0 defeat, wasn't there?
Yes, there
Yeah,
was, including a Mepham own goal
yeah,
as well.
I try and phase it out to be honest. And then Adam Smith on the right hand side, I think we'll probably go with that. And then there's a midfield four, and I think it'll probably be Anthony that will drop out for Traore. I can't see us leaving out Traore at all. Um,
No,
you know,
no.
I think if he's fit, and unfortunately he had sickness against Arsenal. If he was on the pitch against Arsenal, I do question what could he have done.
Mm. Yeah, no, I have to say, from obviously like watching the highlights on like Match of the Day, I thought you played really well. It was, very unlucky with obviously the first goal, as well. Partey, I think he's very fortunate when he gets to it, and then obviously the second goal as well. That's obviously done by goal line technology, um, as well. And then the last goal, I mean, it you're obviously like you're sort of tiring out from obviously defending 2-2. But no, I have to say I think the resilience you showed against Arsenal was
Yeah,
very good, and it can only do you in good stead for the rest of the season. As Bailey says here, I hope Bournemouth stay up though. I like how they play and they got great players. They're not a championship team. No, 100%, 100%.
I
They have
think,
been.
to be honest, I would kind of agree now, but probably would have disagreed a little bit earlier on in the season. I think we needed reinforcements in January, and I think we got
Yeah.
them. I think Atara, Traore, outstanding signings. Zabrini, when he comes in, centre back, Ukrainian international, he is an exceptional talent. an exceptional talent. He will take this club's places, and he is a permanent signing. Unfortunately, a couple of days after he signed for the club, he got injured, which
Yeah.
unfortunately happens. But when he does start, he is a talent.
Definitely. Yes, definitely. Chris, hello. Yes, I am wrapped up. I've actually got my I don't know if you can see it there, my Hogwarts hoodie. I don't usually wear hoodies, I've got to be honest, but yeah, it's absolutely freezing in here.
Do you know what?
Um,
We haven't had no snow down here.
oh, really?
Yeah, to be honest, it doesn't snow very often in Bournemouth. But when we had the beast from the east, I actually walked down the beach because I'm a mental person. And I tell you what, it was freezing cold, firstly, but it was quite amazing. It was quite amazing. You just saw it, just kind of breezing across the top of the sand. It's unlike something you've ever seen before. You don't
Yeah,
imagine snow on the beach, but it was weird. It was weird. I guess, I guess in places like Antarctica, it always snows on the beach, but you don't
yeah,
know any difference.
absolutely. I was like, hello, Niall, hope you're good. Chris says I'd rather Peter Parker than Scott Parker.
Oh
Um,
dear, yeah, I would as well.
Scott Parker deserves a second at Bournemouth. The constant whinging about lack of backing every month. I think club brews were hoping for Peter Parker. Yeah, quite honestly. Parker definitely lied on his CV. Yeah, yeah, definitely. Uh, Bournemouth staying up will be some achievement in my opinion when you look at their squad. Well, they're not far away from Southampton, Everton, Leeds. West Ham are winning comfortably in Cyprus this evening. They're winning comfortably. I think well, it was 2-0 the last time I checked.
Do you know
Um,
what? I'm quite happy for them to carry on in that competition because they will get fatigued. They will get
yeah,
fatigued, West Ham. And to be honest, really, are their fans going to be happy with getting relegated but being in the winners of the Europa Conference League? I don't know. Did
mm,
you go into like the Europa League when if you win it, do you go into the Champions League if you win the Europa Conference League?
yes, you do.
Yeah. So West Ham might be playing in the Champions League in the Championship.
Yeah, yeah,
That'd be an
or the
interesting one.
Europa League, and yeah,
It's weird,
it's
isn't it?
it's a very weird one. Bournemouth Sterling, the F definitely go down, says Justana.
Oh, I guarantee.
Oh,
I think
we
they
can
will.
hope.
I think they
We
will.
can hope. We can hope. Anyway,
Definitely.
good evening, Owen, as well. Copland Podcast. Hope you're well, my friend. Is Craig worried players go down tools now? O'Neill is manager. Apparently, there's always a worry snobby players, as I call them, turn up when a manager is gone.
No, no. To be honest, I think what O'Neill did was he brought the players together, and I was lucky enough to meet Gary O'Neill back in. And to be honest, it was a lovely day, but it was for a fan who sadly now passed away. But we went there, met all the players, and the unity between the players was amazing. You could see it
Yeah.
there. You can see, you know, how close this group is. I don't think, it's all the managers doing that. I think, we've got Tommy Elphick still at the club. But one man that is the heartbeat of this football club, and one thing that, when I met people connected to the owners, um, I did turn around and say to them was Steve Fletcher is an absolute legend here.
Hmm.
He should have a job for life. He should. He should. He's an absolute legend. He does so much for the fans, and so much for the players, and he is that glue. I don't think the players have ever really down tools here. I don't think, to be honest, in the Premier League, had. I don't think we could. Players were getting found out.
Yeah.
If they did, I think sadly, of course, after Project Restart, we had Ryan Fraser here, who we now name the Snake.
Yeah. Less
Um,
name that, the better.
yeah, what he did basically was COVID hit, and of course everybody was signing extensions,
Yeah.
and Ryan Fraser said no, basically left us in the lurch. Um, there was supposedly rumours of him going to Arsenal. That, of course, that never happened. He ended up at Newcastle, but
Yeah.
it was just. I think he was being badly advised, but at the same time, it's just so very, very disappointing. And but we don't have many cases of that. We don't really don't.
Mm.
You look at Dan Juma, and Dan Juma is meant to be a little bit fiery. When
Yeah.
there's been rumours that he's not particularly happy at Tottenham now. I think that there
Mm.
was a little bit of problems at Villarreal. There was none of that here. There was none of that here, and I think that shows that it's quite a good unit that we have. There is the odd
Mm.
one or two. Fraser. Oh, one player you will recognise the name of, Jordan Ibe.
Oh, of course, yes.
Yes, he was a little bit he was a bit of a nightmare, to be fair. Thanks for selling him to us.
You're welcome.
15 million for a player that takes players on and then turns around and takes that same player on again and then realizes that they've lost the ball or doesn't pass it out to anyone
Yeah,
else.
he had a habit of doing that
Yes.
at Liverpool. But no, I mean, I look at Bournemouth, and I look at your squad. Like Jaden Anthony, I think is a fantastic player, as well. Who would you say has been your player of the season so far this season?
Oh, that's a difficult one. I think Neto has been a rock since he's come in. It
Yeah,
could easily go to him because after that 9-0 defeat, I think Mark Travers was very deflated, as we all were really. But Mark Travers, completely lost confidence. I don't think he's really got it back. I think that's why a loan to the Championship would have been a sensible idea. I'd have to go with Phil Bill. Have to go with
mm,
Phil Bill. He's been very,
yeah,
very good. Of course, that goal against Arsenal was very good. Um, One of the standout goals of the season for me was against Fulham, and he was
yes,
heavily involved in that goal at Craven Cottage. Um, that was only within a minute. That was a really, really quick goal itself. So I would say Phil Bill, but the problem with Phil Bill is he is a confidence player. If his head
yeah,
goes down, he's terrible. And to give you a bit of a scenario of this, our game against Leicester, we did win this game. Um, and for a good 60 minutes of that game, he was shocking. He was
hmm
terrible. He was running around, didn't really know what he. If, from the outside, I don't believe this was the case. From the outside, and watching the players on the pitch, he looked disinterested.
yeah,
But as soon as he scored his goal, a whole different player come back, and that's a confidence thing. But
yeah,
the majority of the time, he's been on song, and I think personally, he is probably our best player when he is confident. I think if he didn't drop in confidence, I
yeah.
think a bigger side would have snapped him up by now.
Yeah, I liked him at Huddersfield. I thought he was a very, very good player at Huddersfield.
Yeah,
And I remember when you obviously got him as well. I thought, yeah, I think that's a very, very good sign. And yeah, he came in with a few goals this season, hasn't he?
yeah, he has. Yeah, he has. He's got an eye for a goal. He's very, very clever. He's a very, very clever player. When I cast my mind back to what he was like for Huddersfield, like I say, confidence was his big thing, and I think he did tail off towards the end there. I don't think
Yeah,
he's remembered as fondly as maybe really he should have at Huddersfield,
yeah,
but only because I think his head went down there, which is a shame. And you know, maybe maybe David Wagner couldn't get his head back up. Um, but he's a talent. He's a talent.
Yeah, yeah, certainly is. Bailey has asked a very interesting question. What players do you think you should watch out for Liverpool?
I think I've mentioned his name several times. Hamid Traore. Um,
Hamachiori.
yeah, Sassuolo signing. Well, signing from Sassuolo, of course, that loan to buy option. I believe we can initiate it. And to be honest, like I say, would I'd initiate it tomorrow if Sassuolo's agreed it.
Yeah,
I bet they're kicking themselves if they can't up the price because he's
yeah.
outstanding.
Uh,
Um,
Owen likes his stats. Bournemouth have conceded 10 more goals than the 19th place team. Have you seen signs of Bournemouth tightening up at the back recently?
yeah, that's because of you.
Yeah.
That's because of that day out at Anfield. Um, yes, I have. I think Jack Stevens is a player who has brought a lot to this squad, and he's on loan, believe it or not, from Southampton. He's
Hmm.
on loan from Southampton. It's crazy to think, but he's been very, very good, very, very good defender. Um, I think if we stay up, Southampton go down. He might not be the marquee signing that everybody wants. He might not be exciting, and I think a lot of Bournemouth fans will be split on this. But he's one that I would sign permanently. I really would. Um,
Yeah.
he does a job. He does a job. He does it, professionally. He doesn't, there's no bells or whistles. He does that job, and I really like him actually as defender. And he's
Hmm.
decent from defending set pieces, which is what our
Yeah.
problem was.
Exactly. Exactly. Hello, Brad. Hope you're good. Someone who I like to call Jesus when he comes into the chat. Well, actually, you don't look. To be fair, you don't look like Jesus just now. But yeah, big up, mate. Hope you're good. Just something about Liverpool season that makes this a potential shock again. Could be 3-0 Liverpool, but you just can't rule out a sneaky 1-0 Bournemouth. Well, funny you should mention that.
Mm.
Bournemouth and Liverpool have actually had a few good games at the Vitality. Um, I do
I
need to
enjoyed
ask
that 4
what
3.
I could definitely imagine. Obviously, Nathan
Yeah,
Ake scoring the winner.
yeah.
What is going to happen to the Vitality? Are you in the process of getting a new stadium?
This is a long story. This one. um, told this story plenty of times. So the actual stadium isn't actually owned by the football club as it stands at the moment. So it's owned by a
Right.
company called Structure Dean. Now we sold the football stadium years ago, and in fact, if you go onto my channel and watch the interview with Trevor Watkins, he goes into quite some detail about how all that happens and come about. He even
Right.
names the person. The name can't isn't springing to the top of my head at the moment. Who actually did sell the ground? It probably will do after I finish the show. But so we sold the ground to Structure Dean, so kept the club going effectively. If without that, the club would be dead. Um, we tried to buy it back, of course, when we got to the Premier League the last time round in the first season.
Yeah.
Structure Dean, of course, held us to ransom. Wanted, I think it was 7 times as much. So it was a ridiculous amount of money for a ground which we can't really do much with.
Hmm.
So it stayed with Structure Dean. With regards to the ground now, of course, we have been bought out by Bill Foley, £130 million. Um, I believe what they're going to do is Bill Foley has continued or restarted the work on the training ground over at Camford Magna.
Hmm.
Now, that will leave Structure Dean in quite a sticky situation. The options are they either sell the ground to us, we build it on the car park, and they're stuck with a white elephant. And why I mean that is because that ground was actually gifted to, or the land the ground is on was gifted to the club by the Cooper Dean family, and it's actually written in some
Ah.
sort of council, ruling and things like that can't be changed, or if it can be changed, I think it take quite a bit of doing and probably quite a few brown bags. But that that bit of land has to be used for sporting purposes, including the car park. So we build a stadium right next door. Structure Dean can't build houses on that. They can't redevelop that. So it's in their interest to sell it back to the club for us to then, of course, knock it down. I say it can't be expanded because, of course, there's houses on the far end. Maybe the Ted McDougall, which is a temporary stand, could be expanded. You couldn't
Hmm.
expand the side near the training ground. Maybe the front entrance you could do. But still, is it going to be enough? I think what will happen, and as much as I'd love to stay at Dean Court, I guess realistically, we have to look at it as there's not much we can do with the stadium. If we stick on another 5,000 seats, we probably outgrow that if we stay in the Premier League
Yeah.
year on
Yeah.
year on year. And I don't think it will be a legacy for Bill Foley that he'll want to look back on. Of course, Bill Foley is a man that brought ice hockey to the Nevada desert,
Hmm.
which is ridiculous, to be fair.
That is
Um,
ridiculous.
so I think what we'll do is we'll build a bowl, a bit like Brighton Stadium. Maybe a bit like, unfortunately, St Fary's, as I call it, down the road. It's That's what we will build. That sort of stadium that I just can't see us redeveloping Dean Court at all. And I think that will be something will happen with the stadium, because with the training ground moving over to Camford Magna, we can knock down the existing one, gives us even more space to work with at Dean
Mm.
Court, where we can build this new ground and make it a complex. I think the travel arrangements coming into the ground will be a bit of a nightmare still, but I think
Yeah.
something's going to happen.
It's a fascinating story. It really, really is, and
Mm,
I think as well that yes, obviously you and I did actually know that you didn't own Dean Court Vitality Stadium, but
yeah,
whichever you want to call it. I mean, for me, I call it the Vitality.
I still
I don't
call
know
it Dean
why.
Court. I still
I
call it Dean
know.
Court because it's always been that. Um, Believe it or not, that Dean Court that you will be going into on Saturday isn't the Dean Court from back in the 90s as well.
Oh,
This is what's
right.
really weird about this ground, because there was a time when we played at Dorchester and the whole ground was rotated. Um,
Oh,
yeah, it used to
wow.
be like all banks and things like that. So I guess it's being redeveloped. Of course, parts of it have been parts of the old ground were used in new ground and things like that. So you can't really call it a totally brand new ground, but it was actually
Wow.
rotated. It's a fascinating story, and I tell you what, it's have a watch of the interview with Trevor Watkins, probably in one
Hmm.
go. It's about 4 hours long, so probably it's split into two parts, so probably one part one day, one part another day. But if you want to know that whole story, it is fascinating.
I will definitely tune into that. I'll say hello to other people. We'll have the Wood. Hello. You're going 4-0 to the Reds. Well, we will speak about Liverpool in just a few moments. Richard 63. Hello. Evening. Think you know who I want to win? Oh, an Everton fan wanting Liverpool to win. I mean,
Mm,
that doesn't happen very often. Yeah, Brentford to beat us on Saturday, to be honest. Hi, Rich. It was looking grim for you guys right now, but you'll escape the drop. I think Everton always do. Hello, Luke. Hope you're good. Bournemouth went heavily just to keep the week interesting. We'll need to wait and see. We'll
do you
definitely
know
need
what though?
to
This
wait
is
and
an
see.
interesting fact though, because normally when a team have been hammered earlier on in the season, they normally pick up quite a good result against the team later on because, firstly, that side has still got the wounds from that massive
Yeah,
defeat, and
yeah.
secondly, they want to put things right, and especially coming off the back of that result against or performance against Arsenal, I should say. Um, I think there's a chance that that could happen. Um,
Mm,
I don't like to mention them, but Southampton, of course, were
yes.
hammered 9-0 by Leicester City and then beaten later on in the season.
Yeah.
It
2-1.
goes to show. Yep, goes to show. So there is those sort of scenarios. I think they did the same with Man United as well, didn't they, or something? Did
I
they do the
believe
same
they
with Man
did.
United?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think they did. Yeah.
So you never know. That might be a good
Yeah.
omen. A good omen
It
sent
might.
over from St Mary's.
It might well be. But yeah, we do have to obviously talk about Liverpool. I mean, what did you make of Liverpool Manchester United? Like, were you shocked that it finished 7-0? Like, I think every Liverpool fan was shocked that it finished 7-0. But I think we kind of went into that game thinking United's bad run at Anfield, was it going to continue? Now, maybe you would have probably said no at that point,
Mhm.
but you look at how Manchester United sort of capitulated. Now, I've been seeing this a lot with them recently. Whenever they've gone to like the big grounds, like Etihad, they were 3-0 down, I think, after about 15 minutes, and then again they capitulated there. When it went to 2-0 on Sunday, they just fell apart. Like,
Mm.
when that third goal went in as well, like Martinez, Shaw, I think Fernandez, the less said about him, the better. I can't stand it. Their heads just dropped, and it just got easier and easier and easier to score.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of Man United fans that were moaning after that game that I know. Unfortunately, I do know some. I guess it's everybody's got to have, their bad points. But there was a lot of moaning from them and saying that they were poor. I don't think they were. I think what Liverpool did was they were exceptional again.
Yeah,
You know, it was the Liverpool of old. Mo Salah was excellent, great form. I think Liverpool fully deserved it and just wiped Man United off the pitch. Again, that's another reason why I'm thinking that we might have a chance. Again, big win. Do you take it easy because you got
hmm
Real Madrid? You want to get through to the next round of the Champions League. I know it's going to be very, very difficult, but you know, there's still that chance. Liverpool have done it before where they've come from a 3-goal deficit. I don't think I need to
yes,
remind you when. Um, but yes, back in, was it 2005, wasn't it? Istanbul?
2005.
Yes.
We also came
So,
back from 3 goals down to beat Barcelona as well. It can be done, but I think
yep,
it's going to be very, very tricky because it is in the Bernabeu.
yep,
Um, but who knows? Who knows? I mean, we're getting players back at the right time. Um, I mean, as well, like we've had 5 clean sheets on the bounce. Now it's not easy to get clean sheets in the Premier League. Um, so I was very, very, obviously very, very happy with it, the
mhm,
7-0 win. But I think it was very surprising when we won 7-0 that
yeah,
the next sort of day, like everyone was sort of like getting sort of their stats. Like Salah's now the highest Premier League goal scorer for Liverpool with 129, which is
yeah,
magnificent when you think of when he started out at Chelsea. He was
yeah,
very, very young at Chelsea, went to Roma, which I think was a very, very good move for him. And then we bought him for 36 million, and look, the rest is absolutely
right.
history, as they say. Um, I think Gakpo has now found his feet. I think he is starting to really, really show the player that he was in the World Cup and the
Mhm,
player that he was in PSV. I think Darwin Núñez is now showing that he can be a very, very clinical striker as well. And even I thought Harvey Elliott and Jordan Henderson shone through the midfield. Fabinho I don't really
Yeah.
want to get too carried away, but I do think he is sort of getting a bit of resurgence and form. And defensively again, I thought we were very, very good, and it was just
Mm,
the case of United just obviously falling apart. But yes, I do think that confidence will be high going into this game, but
mm,
I do agree with you to the extent that it could be one that looks okay. We might sort of down tools to sort of just try and try and get the 3 points
yeah.
and not sort of score as many goals as that. But we all know about the last couple of results that we've had at the Vitality. So are you confident going into this game?
I'm more confident than I would be normally. Um,
Mm,
I think that game against Arsenal was, yeah, I know we still got beat, but I think, that was showed that, we can do, we can get these big results. Which, to be fair, out of the top seven so far this season, we've only drawn against two of them. And of course, that's
mm,
Newcastle twice. Um, I've got a feeling we can get something. I really
mm,
do. Um, if you'd asked me a couple of weeks back, I would have said not a chance, not a chance. Especially, it depends if Gary O'Neill is going to go all defensive again. There is no chance at all. If he's going to go for it, like he has done, in the past couple of games, he could get a result. I think he's got to be bold if we do
yeah.
go ahead. At any point, just to keep going. Um, he did that against Newcastle, could have easily gone either way against Wolves. I think, we did push them as well. Um, I think towards the end we did, defend it
That was
out.
a cracking win. That was another game where you thought like Wolves had just beaten they just beaten Southampton. Um,
Mm,
they just beaten Southampton. They obviously just beat Liverpool, and then come up against you guys, and you guys deserve to win. I mean, obviously Marcus Tavernier,
yes.
sorry, I should say Tavernier. I don't know why. I don't know
Yeah.
why, but every time I see James Tavernier, I always think
Yes.
Tavernier for some reason. But um, that was a big, big win because I
Yeah.
look at that game and defended very, very well. You attacked them really, really well as well.
Mm,
And we know Wolves are, they don't score a lot of goals, but then again, they go and beat Tottenham. That this league
yeah.
has been a very, very strange season. And as I said, I am going to watch your video straight after this about the relegation because I think that is fascinating. In fact, I think we could get a similar scenario to 2004, 2005, where you had sort of four or five teams nearly going down on that last day. I think it's going to be a very, very close. To say the very, very least.
We
Are
did
you
bring that up
confident?
actually. We did bring that
Mhm.
up that season, and I don't think it'll happen where it is all the teams are still alive on the last game of the season. And I know we've got an Everton fan in the chat. I think
Yeah.
both Everton and Southampton, I think, could be goners by that time. I
Mm.
honestly do.
Well,
Um,
I think you guys got Everton. Is it a Goodison?
yes, it is a Goodison.
You're
We don't
you're a
want it to
Goodison.
get to that. Yeah, we don't want it to get
Yeah,
to that
I
point.
think I think we have Southampton away on the last day of the season. I think.
Yeah.
So again, that's two big, big games
Mm,
there, and last day of the season can cause a couple of wee sort of upsets, results, etc.
mm.
Um, I just hope it doesn't sort of get to that. But I do agree with you too. I think Southampton and Everton could potentially be gone. And then I think it's a case of obviously a Leeds, a Forest, maybe even a West Ham that could potentially be there. Or Crystal Palace. I don't think they're quite out of it yet.
I think Palace might just scrape through. Um,
Mm,
but I think Forest will be all right. The team I think that would be joining, Everton, Southampton in the Championship. Of course, I'm biased as a Bournemouth fan, but looking at our final fixtures, final 13 games, you'd be stupid not to be confident that we can get something. We're playing a lot of the teams around us, a lot of teams that towards the end of the season that might not have anything to play for as well. Um,
Yeah, that's very, very true. I mean, I'm looking at your fixtures here. Um, so after Liverpool, you've got Aston Villa,
yep,
Fulham, Brighton, Leicester away. Leicester, I still
that's
think they're
very, very winnable.
that is very, very winnable. Tottenham away. That again, you don't know what Tottenham may turn up. West Ham, I think you can win that. Um,
that
then
that
that
segment
huge
there is,
huge game on the 25th of April, Southampton away.
you look at those three games there. You've got West Ham, Southampton, then Leeds. That's going to define our season. Those three games.
Yeah,
I think we can beat Leicester. I think we could get something against Brighton and Fulham, Villa. I think so. If we can get the three wins there, I think we can beat Leicester. We are a bit of a bogey side to them, although they did beat us
hmm
last time at the. I keep calling it King. Is it King Power?
yeah, King
Yeah,
Power. Yeah.
yeah. Well, I'm starting to doubt myself there. I was going to call it the Walkers or something. So we've
That's
always
what it
got
used to
quite.
be called. That's what it
Yeah,
used to be called.
exactly. So we've got a good track record there, and then you've got Brighton, Fulham, and Villa. You would hope, and I think 36 points, because it is so close, will be enough
Yeah.
this season. I think we can win one of those games. I think we
Mm,
can win one of those games. And if I was to put money on it, I think we could probably get a point against Fulham, but we always seem to have a good track record against Aston Villa. We've got a
I
very,
know.
very good track record against Aston Villa. And if that
Yeah.
continues, I think that might be the fifth win. We don't want to go into that game at Goodison at the end of the season with
No.
a battle on our hands, because Everton will battle. It's Sean Dyche, for goodness sake.
Yeah, they are one of the teams that do like to bat. I mean, I'm looking at your final four. I mean, Chelsea, they might not have anything to play for by then as
Another
well.
team we've
Um,
got quite a good record against, but you,
yeah,
to be honest, you can't rely on that really.
no, no, and obviously Crystal Palace away on the 13th of May.
So,
Manchester United as well. Who, you have beaten them in the past at Dean Court as well.
yeah,
So big incentive, I think, to get points. I mean, Richo says that he thinks this might be the season that they go down. Ravi's asked a very interesting question, and I did actually think about this. Thoughts on the atmosphere at Bournemouth when the so-called bigger teams come?
it's Dean Court can be one of two things.
Hmm.
It can be either very, very loud, like the and the night games are probably more of this.
Yeah,
That game against Forest was the atmosphere was absolutely remarkable. It was amazing, absolutely amazing. I don't think we've really got to those dizzy heights this season.
mm,
Um, the Southampton game felt like it could get to that point, but of course, we got beat. The Everton game, I think, the Everton game was in the cup, but of course, the second Everton game, it was an enjoyable result, but
yeah,
to be honest, the quality of the opposition, I'm sorry, Rich, but the quality of the opposition that day was just, Everton were absolutely terrible. Um, I even said, I even said earlier on, if you put Everton showed a video of Everton against us and Peterborough United against us from last season, you'd think Peterborough United are a Premier League side. That was how poor Everton were that day.
Wow.
I'm not surprised their fans were going absolutely ballistic at the end,
Yeah.
because it was that poor. It was that poor. Um, I don't think we've got to those dizzy heights really, and I don't think a
Mm.
12:30 kickoff, which is a stupid time to have a game between Liverpool and
Yeah.
Bournemouth.
Are you a fan of the 12:30 kickoff? Because
No,
I'm.
most definitely not. I can't stand it, and also I think it's incredibly unfair on the Liverpool fans. You've got to set off at 4 o'clock when you get into Bournemouth, and anybody who is travelling down for the game, when you get into Bournemouth, the Wessex Way, there is tons and tons and tons of roadworks on there. Be prepared to, be sat in them for some time, unfortunately. That's the stupid council's fault. So, yeah, personally, I'm completely against it. Now, say for example, if it was a game between us and Southampton, that would make sense. If it was a game between yourselves and Everton, that again would make sense. Or the Manchester clubs together, or even if it was Liverpool, Man United, or
Yeah.
Everton, Man City, that would make sense, but not Liverpool versus Bournemouth. It's
Yeah.
just ridiculous. To be fair,
It is.
they
Yeah.
did it to us a couple of years back. We had to play Huddersfield on a 12:30 kickoff, at Huddersfield, and it was snowing. It was horrible.
Oh
I was
goodness
meant to
sakes.
go, but I went down with the flu, thankfully, and we got beat 4-1 as well. So
Hmm.
yeah, to be honest, I didn't mind missing that one, and it happened against Newcastle. Now tell me, what I don't even know what time you'd have to. I wasn't going to do it. I think what a lot of Bournemouth fans did was they went up to Newcastle and just had a jolly good night out on the Friday night, and then watched the game quite drunk on the Saturday morning. So I think that's what happened.
Quite right. Quite right. Quite right too. But yeah, I'm actually just looking like the sort of the last sort of. I mean, the last time we played in a 12:30 game, yeah, we did beat you 2-1, but obviously that was at Anfield. I'm looking at the last 12:30 game that we had against you, and it was that 4-3 win. It was that 4-3 game that you guys did actually beat us. So
Why do they put our games at 12:30? I don't.
I have
I,
no
I
idea.
really don't understand it.
I have absolutely no idea. But yeah, to be honest, I'm not a fan of the 12:30 game.
Yeah.
And obviously, I'm not a betting man, but if I was, the 12:30 game is the one game I don't think you would want to touch, or the Friday game, because it would completely ruin your accumulator or anything like that. And by the way, guys, I am not a betting man, so I will not be saying anything like that. So do not worry. Just Hannah was saying, not going to lie, I'm hoping for a draw in that Manchester United game. Sean, Liverpool football talk. I haven't not seen you in here for ages, my friend. Hope you're doing well. Bournemouth will be looking for revenge. I'll be happy with 3-0. Unbelievable result considering their form in the last few weeks. Yep. We're prioritising top four, so expect all the big guns on Saturday, Craig. Sorry. Rachel says Liverpool will go in and get top four. We play you the last game of the season. Hope we're safe by then. We won't be gone, so I don't worry. Everyone coming in late, but I feel like West Ham and Leicester are in trouble if they don't make managerial changes. Yeah, how did West Ham do actually? Let me just check their result this
West
evening.
Ham are doing the
Uh,
Moyes thing, and
yeah,
I, if I'm right in
no,
thinking,
they won 2-0. So
Mhm.
you'd expect them to be through now against that Larnaca. I agree about Leicester, Travis. I've got to say I'm quite surprised that what's his face Rogers is still there. I thought he would have been gone, long gone, as well. And obviously, I know that obviously Chris lives, quite near, obviously, like Bournemouth.
Yes, he
Anyway,
does.
but he keeps saying that he wants Rodgers out, and I'm not surprised because Leicester's form recently hasn't really picked up at
Oh,
all.
it's been atrocious. It really has been poor. So yeah, Leicester. To be honest, I'm hoping they keep hold of Rodgers. Well, the difficult thing now is if you was to sack Brendan Rodgers, who do you get in? Who do you get in the situation?
That's the good question because I think it would have to be sort of an interim in that case, but I don't
Mm,
think I, I don't. The thing is, I don't see them getting rid of Rodgers yet. I don't see them getting rid of Rodgers yet. I think the one time I can see Rodgers going is if they go into the relegation zone, which could potentially happen. It could potentially
mm.
happen, but it could be very very interesting. Chelsea, Spurs, Manchester United, Fulham, Newcastle, Brighton, Man City, Wolves, and your oh my gosh, is that your running ritual? That
Yeah,
is
that's
nightmare.
what I mean. I think Everton's running is
That
absolutely
is a
horrendous.
nightmare.
You think Chelsea, I think Chelsea will be wanting to get back to winning ways in the Premier League. Spurs, I think they'll need to, at some point, they're going to have to bounce back. Man United, I think, is going to be too good. Brentford, that's another horrible game, to be fair. Um,
Yeah,
I like,
they're an absolute
do you know what?
fire at the moment.
I actually agree 100% with Rich. Their Lampard should have been sacked after those games because, like I
Yeah.
say, they were. I would go as far as to say this season and last season, and considering we were in the Championship last season, they were the worst team we've come up against. And I feel
Wow.
sorry for Everton fans, to be honest. I do feel sorry
Mm,
for them, but Dyche is trying to get them out the Dyche way. Unfortunately for them, a lot of clubs will know the Dyche way and know how Burnley went down. I think Burnley went down with a better side than Everton have got at the moment.
yeah. Yeah, it's really really going to be very very interesting
Yeah.
between now and the end of the season. Yeah, Lampard should have been sacked after those games. It's done purely for TV ratings. There's no way us versus Manchester United would ever get a 12:30. It used to. That's the funny thing. It used
Yeah.
to, and I remember being. Well, this is going way way back. 2008, 2009. Now this was when we had sort of Torres and Gerrard on the bench. Yes, Rafa
Mhm.
Benitez managed to have Fernando Torres and Steven Gerrard off the bench, and then obviously they came on both of them. In the end, Man United took the lead. I remember because I was at this game. Man United took the lead after 2 minutes. Carlos Tevez scored that day. Then it was an own goal. I think it was Wes Brown own goal, and then
Mhm.
Ryan Babel scored the winner. So I do know that, that usually in the past, Liverpool Manchester United has been a 12:30. Um,
I'll tell you
but yeah,
what,
we see.
thinking back even further than that, I think it was 1999, and it was very, very new at that point, the 12:30 game.
Yeah.
Um, I believe one of the first games at that time was Liverpool versus Manchester United. The only reason
Mm.
I remember that was because I was doing lifeguard training at the time, something that I never ever utilised in any sense of work at all.
Lifeguard
Um,
training.
yes, yeah, I did a lifeguard
Nice.
course years ago, but I never did anything with it. It was like a
Yeah.
certificate, and I was like, oh yeah, that's good. And yeah, I just didn't do anything with it. I obviously got, it was in the latter years of school, and then I think alcohol and women took over really. They
Interesting.
do.
Very,
They
very
do.
interesting. Um, Bailey says, I'm going to go now. I hope you have a good stream. I liked your stream today, and hopefully the Villa win weekend up the Villa. Yes, Bailey, absolutely. You're at West Ham, I think, aren't you? Yeah, I do fancy you to beat West Ham. But thank you very
Oh
much for
yeah,
tuning in.
please do.
Bournemouth is really lovely, though. So it's worth making a weekend of it. Stay in B&B, says Just Hannah. Uh, they won 2-0. Yeah, they did. They did as well. Man United won 4-1. It's a shame that they didn't beat Liverpool, but goodbye. Trust you to say that. Trust you to say that. Oopsie. Dominic Calvert now injured. Oh my god. Again. Again. What's he been doing now?
It's
That's Everton's problem. They can't score goals. They don't have a vocal point up front, whereas you guys do, with obviously Solanke. So that could be a bit of a difference as well. I always have forgotten those 12:30s. I think nowadays it's determined by the ratings. I think so. I do think so.
yeah.
What is the team that Gary O'Neill will play on Saturday, do you think?
Is he going to go for a 5-4-1, or is he going to go a bit bolder with the 4-4-1-1 that I thought earlier on? I'd like him to go with the 4-4-1-1. I don't think he will. I think he'll go with the 5-4-1. I think it'll be the same team. I think the only exception will be Anton Semenyo will probably make way for Hamid Traore, who will play on the left-hand side. I don't think Jaden Anthony will start. Jaden Anthony is
Hmm.
good enough to start. I think he would start in a 4-4-1-1 formation. So, but I can see, yeah, I can see him going with the back five for Liverpool. Especially after that result. Maybe, maybe if it had been the other way round and Man United had done that to you, I think maybe he might
Yeah.
have, gone, right, okay, let's go attack. But um, no, I think he'll go defensive.
Well, I'm going to say this now. I think Klopp plays the same team. I wouldn't
Mm.
change a winning team, and why would you when you just won 7-0? So I think it'll be obviously Ali
Uh,
in goal, Trent, Konate, Van Dijk, Robertson, Fabinho, Henderson, and Elliott, and then Gakpo, Nunes, Salah. I think that'll be the team,
but
definitely.
will he though? You know, will he do that considering Real Madrid?
Real Madrid.
Coming up, and that's the big thing for me is, does he think that he's got a chance against Real Madrid? Because the Liverpool squad play like they did against Manchester United, have got that chance against Real Madrid to get back into that game. Will he look at it as, okay, we'll probably still get the top four,
Hmm.
even if we don't get a positive response, or don't get the 3 points at Bournemouth, you know, well, throw it out there to you. Would you rather get through in the Champions League, or would you rather, beat us to probably make it a little bit more comfortable at the end of the season?
I wish you hadn't asked me. I mean, obviously you want to win every single game, don't you? You want to
Yeah,
win every single game. Top four is much it's back on it. Last a couple of weeks ago, it looked like it wasn't back on,
mm,
and now obviously back it sort of is. Um, Me personally, I don't see us scoring three in the Bernabeu. I'd be amazed if we score three in the Bernabeu. So I would probably be going out all for this game, because there's a chance to get back into the top four. Um, so yeah, I honestly do. I think
mhm.
going to this game, we get top four. Sorry, we're top. We're fourth for the obviously the time being until obviously Spurs play Nottingham Forest. I do see us getting fourth though, because I think Spurs are now on the. Well, we don't know what kind of Spurs are going to be because obviously they're now out in the Champions League.
Yeah,
Newcastle, I think, are down. I wouldn't say they're sort of dropping ever so slightly, but what I will say is I feel that they are slowly starting to get into the old Newcastle where they couldn't score goals, and I think they're
yeah,
getting into that. So I do think that win on I'm thinking tomorrow's Saturday. Win on Saturday, then top four is definitely back on, and then obviously the nightmare start in April. I mean, we got Manchester City, Chelsea, and Arsenal in the space of 7 days. That will not
mm,
be easy, but
no,
it will be a very interesting thing. And Richard says it here. Conte will be gone before the summer. I absolutely agree with you.
yeah,
I don't think Conte is happy there. And Harry Keane needs to get out of there. Needs to get out of there.
I don't
definitely.
think he'll win anything there. I don't think he'll win anything at
No,
Tottenham.
no, I don't think so. But the problem is, where would he go? Because theoretically, I don't see any other Premier League club wanting
I
him.
don't. Well, I think there's one destination that Harry Kane will go to, and I think that's
Man
Man
United.
United. Yeah,
Man United.
yeah, Man United.
Yeah.
I think they've got um, Weghorst on loan, which is a really weird one from Burnley, of all teams. I think Man United
I think he
will.
scored tonight, actually. I think
Has
he
he?
scored. I think he did, yeah. Let me just check Manchester, because the scorer for Real Betis was Iosi Perez.
Hmm.
Believe it or not. Yes, he did in the 82nd minute. There you go. There you go. He did
There we
actually
are.
score. Wow.
See,
Yeah,
that is the Sean
I
Dyche
agree. I
effect.
agree with you though. I agree with you though. It is a very weird signing. It is a
Yeah.
very, very weird signing.
So Sean
Um,
Dyche signing, really, isn't it? And then somehow Man United have just decided they're going to take him on.
yeah. Sebastian, I'm going to say this now. I don't think it'll be 5-0. Bec- I don't think it's going to be 5-0. He says, I'd rather destroy both Bournemouth and Real Madrid.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah, get a score prediction. What are you going for?
I think we're going to be up for this, and
Mm-hmm.
personally, I'm going to go for a 2-all draw. I think it'll be an end-to-end game. I don't. I think the players will want revenge for that day up
Yeah.
in Anfield. I know it was Gary O'Neill, but I think the players will be up wanting revenge. And I think Liverpool will have one eye on that Champions League game at the Bernabeu. I think they could turn it round. You know, you have heard of teams winning 3-0 away in the Champions League, and Liverpool are good enough, play like they did against Manchester United, of doing that. I think with the Real Madrid game, the key there is not to concede early. Get an early
Mm.
goal, it makes it easier. I've just seen
Yeah,
somebody put
look, that ain't
9-0
happening.
Bournemouth.
Sorry,
Um,
mate. That is not happening.
I can't imagine it. But there has been those weird results in the past where, you know, Southampton, beat Leicester after they beat them 9-0. I would have said that was a home banker of Leicester beating Southampton, because they'd already
Hmm.
thrashed them. And then Southampton went and won it. And I'm sure, and maybe somebody can correct me in the comments if it isn't. I'm sure they beat Man United the season that Man United did that to them. Um, so I'm hoping the Southampton, that's a horrible thing. The Southampton effect has, something for us.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be a very, very interesting game as well. I have a feeling it might be like 0-0 at half time, which would not suit us at all, I've got to say. Um, but I just think if we get an early goal in the second half, it'll sort of settle us down.
Yeah.
And we all know that we struggle against low blocks. We do struggle against low blocks. I'm going to go 2-0 Liverpool. I think it will be very, very tight in the first half. And then I think in the second half, I think you'll sort of start to tire, and I think the sort of the gaps will probably start to sort of appearing. So I'm going to go 2-0. I don't think it's going to be a. I don't think. I know I've seen like 3, 4s, and 5s in the chat, but I certainly don't see that. Let me just say that.
Did you say that you struggle against low blocks?
Yeah,
You didn't
we
that
do.
day, did you, at Anfield? You didn't that day. Please, if Gary O'Neill is currently watching this show, do not listen to Doug. He's having you on.
In the past we have.
In the past.
In the past we have. Oh my God, I know, Bob. Trust you, mate. Trust you. Um, Elevator, hello, mate. Hope you're good, mate. Hope you're good. Ravi's asked questions, thoughts on the board. Yeah, Neto.
He's
I've got to
outstanding.
say, he's a great keeper.
He's pretty brilliant.
I thought when he was at Barcelona, he wasn't getting a look in because of Ter Stegen.
Mm,
But ever since he came into the Premier League, I think he's a really good goalkeeper.
yeah.
Especially when you look at like the goalkeeper you had at Anfield. Was it Mark Travers at Anfield?
Yes, it was. Yeah.
Yeah. So I look at this and I think you've already got a better goalkeeper playing
Mm,
against us at the weekend.
yeah.
So I do think that
Yeah.
I do think that
Neto's been outstanding this season, Doug. Honestly, mate, it's just his reactions. Of course, that second goal for Arsenal, you know, the reactions on that were outstanding.
yeah.
Unfortunately, the ball had already crossed the line before he
It
did
it
that. So
was it was very
it
very
was,
unlucky because I was thinking I was just thinking of that goal and you know he almost manages to claw it out of the goal and unfortunately it was just
Mhm.
the goal line technology obviously decided to obviously play
Yeah,
effect to that
I
but
think it was quite some way over, but it was just the reaction, and
mhm.
it was quite close.
Aye.
He
No,
just
I,
hooked
I,
it
I
out.
I think I think you've definitely improved on the goalkeeper. Senesi is another one that's really caught my eye recently. What have you made of him?
I think he's been really, really good. Um, I think, which will probably come as a bit of a surprise to Liverpool fans because that day at Anfield was his debut. And if you imagine, he was completely and utterly lost. Just
Yeah,
completely and utterly lost. Um, but then again, he had been asked to play in this very, very, very low block, where Liverpool weren't being challenged. He wasn't, to be honest, Metham wasn't challenging Liverpool. None of our defence were challenging the Liverpool players. Bobby Firmino must have thought, "What the hell's this? This is brilliant!" Just passing it around, just picking them off with ease. Um, that was a Scott Parker tactic, and ever since then, Gary O'Neill has got the best out of him. Very, very nice guy, Marcus Senesi,
hmm
and a model professional. Um, I think there's a couple of things on his game that he needs to work on, but he's a talent. He's a talent, and he's only a young man again, and I think he'll go far. He'll go far.
yeah. I think he will as well. Richard just says just a Liverpool win. Elevating Italy, Francis, and Bournemouth 1, Liverpool 2. Bournemouth scored first early on, then we equalised in the half-hour mark. Then just before half-time, we strike again, hanging on to 2-1. I've got to say, your predictions are very accurate, Elevator. Every time I've seen you come into the chat, mate, you always have very, very interesting predictions, and that is very, very accurate. So you're going for Bournemouth to score first early on, then we equalise on the 30-minute mark, and then just before half time we strike again and we'll hang on to a 2-1 win. No, is it? Any Bournemouth will do for me. I know you hate Liverpool, Luke, but um, I would imagine you'd be wanting a Liverpool win to sort of keep Bournemouth
I'm s-
adrift of you.
I was just having a look at that picture and just trying to work out who was stood next to Luke, and that is, of course,
It's
Cooper.
Cooper. It's
Yeah,
Cooper.
and I was trying to work out which team you supported, Luke, and um, I'm surprised actually. It's quite nice because actually a lot of Nottingham Forest fans that I've spoken to are have been really, really nice. All right, yeah, no, there's a lot of stick that we've had as well from Forest after that game, and
I'd imagine from one certain individual,
oh yes, Mr. Door. Yes, he's
Mr.
always
Door. Yeah.
yes, Mr. Door. He says that I still owe him his chicken. In Nando's. Not Nando's. No, we was talking about Nando's last time round because we haven't got Hooters in Bournemouth yet. Um, you know,
Oh,
so yeah, one of his
Hooters.
suggestions was to open
Interest,
a
interesting.
franchise down there, but
Um, and then elevator rightfully says, we always struggle in early kickoffs and low blocks, so I'm a little worried for this, but don't forget 9-0. Yes, there's no chance that's going to be happening again. I think it'll be very tough. Liverpool find late winner. Bournemouth 1, Liverpool 2. Well, the way we play against United is a comeback on nope. Where is all this comeback talk coming from? We all know Real Madrid are our daddy, and even if we do come back Madrid at the Bernabeu, don't give up. Yeah, absolutely as well. Craig, it's been an absolute pleasure, sir. It's
Oh,
been an absolute pleasure to do
pleasure to
another
be on here
preview.
as well. Yeah, definitely,
No,
mate.
I definitely need to get you. I think I'll probably do like a maybe like a show at the like before the end of the season, like but of like all the sort of the clubs sort of being sort of drifting the sort of the bottom. I think that'd be very interesting. So I could get a
Uh,
Bournemouth fan on like yourself, Everton, Leicester, Wolves. I think that'd be quite a good, interesting show.
it would be, but yeah, hopefully I won't be in it because of course, after that cluster of three games, West Ham, Southampton,
Yeah,
and Leeds, you might think there's no point in them being in it, so they've gone clear. That's what I'm hoping. That's what I'm hoping. So yeah, I'll accept your invite for that one, but I hope that I am surplus to requirements for that one. We can
yeah,
do one about teams that are mid-table and a bit boring, hopefully.
absolutely.
Yeah.
But just tell the people where they can find you.
Yeah, of course. So the channel is called Up the Cherries in All Departments, UTCIAD. So we do interviews with former players. We also do our cherry picking podcasts. Of course, the one that's recently been done and that we've been talking about is the one where we assess all the fixtures.
Yeah.
Um, there's a lot more coming up as well. Of course, we've got opposition preview shows. Should have a special one, like I was saying earlier. I'm not going to name the name, but should have a special one for Villa. It's not confirmed, but do check us out. We've had, and also, of course, there was the Harry Redknapp season preview that you took part in, and
Yes.
we need to refer back to his predictions because I did think I was getting it right for a little while, and Harry did offer me a bet for Newcastle to finish third. I was kicking myself for a little while because I thought, well, this might happen. But
Mm.
yeah, to be honest, I was right not to bet against Harry Redknapp. He normally gets it right, to be honest.
Yeah. I do remember that show. I do remember that show. And yeah, I did actually put it this week to be second. So
So you
some
know
you win,
what?
some you lose.
I predicted for you to win it.
I know. I do
Yeah, I
remember that.
predicted you was going to win it.
I do remember that. Yeah, absolutely. Take care, everybody. Thank you very much, Elevator. And Richo63 says, cheers, guys. Yes, absolutely. Yes, do give up the cherries in all departments. Subscribe and give them a like as well. Also, it is in the title of the video. So basically, just go and click the at UTCIAB. I've got it right.
Yeah, UTCIAD, AFCB. Um, that's the handle. It is a tongue twister, isn't it? It is a tongue twister.
It is a tongue twister. It is a tongue
It's
twister. But
unique, believe it or not. It's an old chant that was started years ago, and what's quite nice actually is that the club have put up banners, and one actually says "Up the cherries in all departments" on it. So maybe it's
oh, there you
something that
go
we
then.
have bought back a little bit. So
Oh,
yeah,
fabulous.
I think they
Absolutely
based it
fabulous.
on all the Bournemouth channels out there. So there's one, of course, for the other channels as well. So I think that's quite a nice touch if that is what they've based it on. And I'm quite
Yes.
pleased that the club have decided to take the photo just in front of the banner that says our name on it. So thanks for that.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, exactly.
Fantastic. Yes. So please go and check up the cherries in all departments on YouTube. And also do check me out here at the Dugger Football channel. If you have missed the show, then do please watch it on playback and let us know your prediction for the game. Also, do let us know your starting 11 for that game as well. It's going to be a very interesting one. 12:30 on a Saturday lunchtime kickoff. I don't like Saturday lunchtimes, and I certainly don't like the early kickoff. But
Oh, I've just seen who's come in. Sweet. I've got to say hello to this man.
Oh, hello,
Hello, Mr. Door. We were just
Mr.
talking about
Door.
you and the
We
Hooters.
were just talking about you. Don't worry, don't worry. Nothing,
It was all good, mate. It was
nothing.
all good.
Anyway, I hope you're good anyway, Ben. And yeah, guys, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see what happens on Saturday. We will see what happens on Saturday. But anyway, good night, and I'll see you later. Cheers.